welcome to another astrological episode sponsored by Absolutely Psychic. Please take a moment to rate, comment, and subscribe. Several astrological factors can determine love compatibility between two people. The inter-aspects one chart makes to another person's planets is the most important. Yet there's another tool that details the relationship, and that is the composite chart. Prior to embarking relationship analysis with anyone, it is crucial to examine the love potentials within each individual chart. Therefore, please refer back to Jada Pinkett Smith's chart and Will Smith's chart. The description below has the links to those videos. I briefly cover only the top 6 inter-aspects between Will and Jada, and each of these aspects deserves an entire video in itself, so therefore it will be a watered-down rendition. And for the sake of brevity, many other aspects are not covered, as this would become a very long video. Let's start first with Jada's planets around Will's chart. We'll first start off with declinations. These are latitude aspects that often get neglected, and there is a link in the description below to an article. Declinations are used to illuminate many hidden aspects. Jada's Pluto contra-parallels Will's Mercury. This can present a problem when it comes to listening to understand instead of listening to respond. Ideas are constantly opposed. Cross-examinations can become an interrogation. Contrarian ideologies will lose sight of the goal as further obstacles bloom. Communication conflicts usually lead to feeling drained, devalued, and unheard. Jada's Mars parallels Will's Moon. Wherever Mars is in another's planets, it energizes the nature of that planet. In this case, the moon has to do with emotions. Will's moon is in the 6th house of employment. The relationship can feel like a day-to-day chore. Sure, it has the passion of Mars. However, after a while, it becomes a routine like a tedious task. Arguments can easily flare up. On a side note, it is crucial that we factor in the condition that Will's moon is in, which is in a yod configuration, or more exactly, a boomerang. I will not cover that aspect, that configuration, in this video. However, it is important to note that the Mars coming from Jada's side will activate that boomerang. Jada's ascendant is opposite Will's ascendant and vice versa. This is the classic relationship aspect. The partner we want is reflected in our 7th house. The partner whose ascendant mirrors our 7th house projects our 7th house needs. It is this first thing that jumps out about their personality. Jada wants a mate that can communicate ideas and have a sense of a higher purpose, whereas Will wants an understanding mate that is fun and will provide him with a creative outlet. Often, this is considered an instant connection. Jada's Saturn conjuncts Will's ascendant. Some would view this as the worst aspect, yet every relationship needs Saturn for a relationship to hold up. Saturn will bring duty, responsibility, commitment, and will crystallize a relationship. Most lasting relationships have a strong Saturn conjunction. On a side note, we also need to factor in the condition Saturn is in Jada's chart, which is an immutable T-square. So it's not only Saturn that comes to Will's ascendant. The reason I chose Saturn is because it is exactly on Will's ascendant. Sure, Jupiter and Neptune from Jada's chart comes to Will's 6th house conjuncting the 7th. I am working with exact aspects, as those aspects are the ones that are instant. Now let's put Will's planets around Jada's chart. Will's Mars comes to square Jada's Neptune, Jupiter, Ascendant, Saturn T-square. This T-square needs full understanding on how it operates in Jada's chart. As prior stated, there are difficulties in getting past rigid idealized standards. The mindset is covered with rose-colored glasses to the point it may magnify matters and jump to conclusions without having all the facts. Empathy skills take a while to develop. Yet, the aspect Jada also lacks, planets in water signs, and typically that has a difficult time in understanding feelings and emotions, their own and others. Sometimes they prefer to rationalize, which is an earth sign action, intellectualize, air sign action, or energize, which is a fire sign action. Their own emotions, other people's feelings, and instead of having to feel them themselves, they would prefer having to resort to any of those three tactics. Jada has a natal moon in Virgo, so that means she will rationalize and analyze her feelings and the feelings of others instead of having to experience them. Yet when emotions run deep, getting to the core of the issue may be a problem, or since Neptune is involved in this T-square, it may become confusing. So when a planet from another person lands on any configuration, it will trigger it. Depending on the nature of that planet, it will determine the type of activation. Will's Mars lands on this T-square, further energizing and possibly aggravating it instantly. Therefore, arguments start easily. Someone may give in to the silent treatment or go to war. Destructive aggression is indicated. And though this would traditionally be a sexually passionate aspect, if Saturn weren't part of the equation, it would be an enjoyable combination. However, Saturn will remove that enjoyment. Heated disagreements and judgment regarding decisions and values come into. Since Will's Mars is in Virgo, he may get overly critical, picky, and detailed regarding the things he doesn't like instead of appreciating the things he does like. This can be a very confusing aspect because Neptune may obscure reality over idealism of what should be or what could be or what truly is. This is the searching for nirvana, which never comes to fruition. Will's Jupiter and Pluto comes to conjunct Jada's Sun and midheaven. Jupiter-Pluto combinations are one of the most powerful combinations that exist. It's wealth and success. This relationship is what kept Jada's career going as Will brought in powerful clout along her way. This combination is beyond what people would refer to as life-altering. It is rebirth. And I would imagine it would have been a rebirth experience for Jada once she became involved with Will. Bear in mind, Jupiter-Pluto also comes in with control and domination issues. This relationship may have a lot of power struggles. Midpoint composite charts. Composite charts typically come in two formats. The most popular one is the one we're about to discuss, the midpoint composite chart. Yet there is another one, and that is the Davison composite chart. Though the Davison isn't used too frequently, repeated themes in the composite charts confirm each other and the interaspects. I have seen instances where composite charts provide detail that otherwise would have been neglected in examining the interaspects. Sometimes interaspects compatibility between two people appear just okay, yet the composite chart shows promise. In that case, it helps to provide more detail where the couple can improve their relationship. Yet I've seen the reverse, where the compatibility showed up as incredibly harmonious. However, the composite chart was extremely bland. The best part of the composite chart is timing. I have seen the composite charts indicate life-altering events such as pregnancy, divorce, and other significant impacts with on-point timing. In my opinion, I believe composite charts should only be used when there is an accurate time of birth for both parties. Before examining a composite chart, please refer to the love potentials within each chart as that is more significant, and then examine the interaspects. Those two things bear more weight than a composite chart, as the composite should be saved for last. Now, the midpoint composite chart. This composite chart is the most commonly used. It is calculated by averaging both charts by midpoints. The zodiac signs that fall into this chart need to be ignored because it is not a chart that exists in time and space. It is only used to see the house placements and the aspects. Some astrologers disagree on this. We look at the stellium in the 8th house. It indicates every facet of this couple's life is controlled. There may be conflicts with freedom versus rigid control. Fame can control their life. Advisors such as Other couples, lawyers, agents, family members, etc. may give their own unsolicited opinion, instructing or controlling what to wear, eat, speak, or share about themselves in the public eye. The 8th house transforms a person's life. It is death and rebirth, strong intimacy, emotional, financial, and career support the couple brings to each other. This is a strong placement for producing, as other people's money is generated. Together they have produced a lot of ventures. This also brings several themes of who wears the pants in the relationship. Will and Jada each contribute controlling reins to the relationship too. Jada has a stellium of planets conjuncted by Pluto, in her chart, and Will has a Jupiter-Pluto conjunction in his chart, and I have seen that conjunction happen in various individuals every 12 years when that aspect reoccurs, and there are several controlling themes in their charts. There may be deeply rooted and unresolved psychological and addiction issues present in the relationship with such a loaded 8th house. Per Wikipedia.org, it stated that Jada was a former drug dealer in her youth and that her mother was a heroin user with now over 3 decades of recovery in Narcotics Anonymous. Jada has Neptune and Jupiter conjunct the ascendant, which is highly addicted to escape, fantasy, illusion, sex, love, and more. Neptune on the ascendant is classic for these themes, and Jupiter enlarges the nature of any planet that it touches, including this one. So think of this as the largest Neptune conjunction to the ascendant as possible. Also, in Will's biography, he shared the violent physical abuse his mother endured growing up. These themes never go away without effort. This is why many undergo healing and recovery modalities such as astrology, New Age, 12-step programs, counseling, etc. Healing and recovery is a lifelong mission. And on a very positive note, the 8th house is about that type of transformation, as these two can assist each other in that reawakening process. Saturn squared the ascendant from the 3rd house, learning lessons and communication restrictions. Much of the information shared in this relationship may be under a tight lip. Yet there is a problem. It's a dichotomy. If we review Jada's chart, she has Sagittarius rising, which is outspoken. Will has Gemini rising, which is all about communication. More than likely, this pair may disagree on what, how, and to whom information needs to be divulged. Venus quincunx Saturn. Princess Diana had this aspect in her own natal chart, and this aspect shows up in this composite chart for the couple. This is pretty much about staying in the relationship for the status that it brings. There are obstacles with timing, stability, and durability. Often one may feel the financial pressure to stay in the relationship based on the assets. Freedom from tight responsibility becomes overwhelming. Some may disapprove of this relationship. The Davison composite chart. This second type of composite chart is not as popular as the midpoint composite chart. I like to use it because it exists in date, time, and space, and it averages the dates and comes up with a new date that reflects the relationship. If there is an age difference between the couple, the date may appear prior to one of the parties. As always, each natal chart needs to be analyzed to see the natal promise for relationships, and the interaspects need to be prioritized prior to reviewing any composite chart. This type of composite chart is for determining what is outside the relationship: children, relatives, finances, etc. The zodiac signs here can be used. The thing I personally like about this type of composite chart is that one can look at the out of bounds aspects, if there are any, and the declinations. There are links to articles in the description box below. This is a factor that is not available with the midpoint composite chart. Now, Jada and Will both have Venus in Libra natally. Each has a loving nature that revolves around tact, diplomacy, fairness, equality, harmony, and kindness. In the midpoint composite chart, the couple's Venus shows up to be in the sign of Libra. However, in the Davison chart, the couple's Venus shows up to be in Aries, which may show up as impatient, tactless, jumping to situations before thinking, and more importantly, self-vested interests. Each one may view the relationship as what's in it for me instead of us. Factor in Will's Venus is opposite Saturn, bringing discomfort and hard work when it comes to love. Also, the ruler of his natal 7th house has a yod or a boomerang with Saturn in Aries, which will bring some discomfort when it comes to relationships and fears around his love life. Saturn in Aries is all about learning, sharing. Briefly, I will cover only the top 4 Davison Composite Chart aspects for Will and Jada. Each one deserves a chapter in itself. These will be very watered down renditions for the sake of brevity so that this video is not longer than intended. Midpoint Composite Chart, we notice that 8th house stellium. Now take a look at the chart ruler in the Davison chart. It is in the 8th house, which once again highlights the previously mentioned 8th house themes. But more importantly, the Plutonian themes resurfaced. Pluto paralleling the midheaven in the Davison Composite Chart. This theme never goes away. This couple is labeled as the power couple, yet there's so much information that is twisted in the media. Power struggles and tight control impacts this relationship. This relationship can feel like an actual routine and monotonous. Mars conjunct Saturn conjunct the midheaven opposite Jupiter. This will generate deep ambitions, hard work, and heightened sexuality. Since this relationship is all about media and public image, there are issues connecting with each other harmoniously. This relationship takes time and hard work, as promised by Saturn. They will elevate each other career-wise and prioritize career over any other area of their life. This can be extremely difficult with timing, as Saturn is all about the clock. When one partner is busy, the other one is available, and vice versa. Interestingly enough, when we examine Jada's Mars, it is on Will's midheaven. I believe this theme is brought on more by Jada than Will. Saturn-Mars combinations can bring about a very committed relationship that may be fueled by all or nothing narrow-mindedness Scorpio, which here lies Jupiter opposite these 3 positions. Yet it will bring balance and opportunity to make it work. Career pursuits impact the amount of time spent with each other. Balance is the key to getting this to work, as the relationship by itself may be on one end of the spectrum and then swinging to the opposite end of the spectrum. Bickering and disagreeing are common in this relationship. Also, let's digest a little bit more the Saturn-Jupiter opposition in this chart. The Jupiter-Saturn opposition in this chart is a repeated theme that merits weight. This is why I recommend using both composite charts, as it's only visible in the Davison chart. This aspect is an emphasis because Jada has this aspect in her natal chart. When looking at either composite chart, repeated themes from a native's chart is a red flag. If the exact aspect is not present, note any repeated relationship between the planets in each chart or in the inter-aspects. If we look at Will's planets, he has a different aspect between Jupiter and Saturn. It's a quincunx. Technically speaking, it's in the configuration of a yod. Or, as my favorite astrologer, Joan McEvers, would say, it's a boomerang, as there are 2 other planets that come into this equation from the yod. In either case, in Will's chart, this yod is an obstacle, as all the planets are in fall or detriment positions. I can cover in a separate video configurations. Jupiter-Saturn combos have themes around balancing ambition versus enjoyment, business versus leisure, pessimism versus optimism. This relationship is a constant seesaw. One moment it may have the extreme optimism of Jupiter, and then the next moment have the extreme pessimism of Saturn. Oppositions are about integrating balance between the self and others. Themes around compromising, sharing, and peacekeeping are required. Since this falls in the 3rd, 9th house axes, I wonder how much of the cold, silent treatment exists in this relationship. One day they may speak, and other days they have no contact. So it would work along like this. I'm mad at you today. Today I hate you. Today I won't even know you exist. I will ignore you type of behavior. Yet the following day, it may be, you are the love of my life. You are the best thing that's happened to me. This is how extreme this opposition will become. Sunquincunx Jupiter. This can have issues with sexuality. These issues can come in the form of repetition, delays, and minimal results. The technical pairing may have difficulty with growth, literally or figuratively. By no means does this mean that there is a party that has erectile dysfunction. However, the potential is there because the Sun is in the 8th house, and it is further themed with Jupiter, Scorpio, which is a sexual sign, and it's retrograde, which means delays. There are themes around master-slave and domination that may become themes in their sex life, as well as fetishes, especially psychological fetishes. Mercury quincunx Jupiter has communication barriers in terms of being understood and valued. One may feel minimized or unheard. Agreeing, compromising, and negotiating are major obstacles requiring adjusting and adapting to each other. Currently, Uranus is on the midheaven of this chart by transit, and the media is having a field day regarding the couple. This continues for a while, especially with the upcoming eclipse at the end of April going on into May. So for the next 5 to 6 months, there is more media and press regarding the couple. Also, transiting Saturn is in the 7th house, which brings more hard work in the marriage. Yet, I think the one that may have more difficulty with this is Jada, only because she's born with Saturn in the 7th. There are many difficulties in this relationship where there are changes and adjustments to finances. However, there may be concerns over privacy, and a change in either the home may be required or in type of security system in the home, as an invasion of privacy is likely. I would caution this couple, in the event that they have any private video footage, to guard it, as there is potential for exposure. In summary, many repeated themes show up in Jada's chart, Will's chart, and the inter-aspects and both composite charts that indicate a significant communication barrier. These obstacles need reparation for a relationship to last. The worst thing one can do in a relationship is to give up communicating to prevent further heated disagreements. Relearning how to communicate with each other is the major step in improving this relationship. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.
What are the important questions in your life?
My boyfriend and I have been together for over a year. Do you see this leading to marriage?
I have 2 job offers. I need some advice on which one to take.
I'm tired of being lonely. I want to know if love is coming to me soon.
So if you have questions regarding a problem or need guidance, talk to one of our accurate, experienced psychics. Talk to Absolutely Psychic. Call 1-800-498-8777 or visit absolutelypsychic.com.
That psychic just amazed me. Immediately, she knew that I recently moved.
Wow, I was astonished. I don't know what else to say.
I never had a reading this good. This was absolutely amazing. I am so grateful I had a reading from her.
Call 1-800-498-8777 or visit absolutelypsychic.com and get your own private reading.
Thanks for watching. Click here to download our free apps for Android, iPhone, and Microsoft. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Stay tuned to our channel by hitting that red subscribe button. And remember, the first 3 minutes are free on our network with our trusted and accurate psychics. Be sure to surf our site for free horoscopes, articles, and so much more. Click here to go to our site or just call 1-800-498-8777 to get your first 3 minutes free right now.